All right, and welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 96. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my co host, and his name is.
It's your guy Obeses.
You know what's funny? I just thought of this like literally maybe a point 2 seconds ago. We're getting very, very close to, I guess, the 100th episode. I didn't really think
Yeah.
about it as like a special thing that I would do. But I maybe try to figure something out. I don't know, but at least we'll have a 100th episode for sure. But I don't know if anything special is going to happen. But if anything, thank you to whoever is watching or listening. I appreciate it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You've heard that everywhere. So I'm gonna say it too. Other than that, I think we usually start off by talking about the weather. I actually think the weather was nice today.
I
Um,
agree.
I like the weather today. Apparently, according to my news thing, it's gonna get hotter tomorrow.
Oh no.
But that's okay. They're not gonna be that much hotter, but just hotter than today, at least according to my phone. But anyways, everybody is here to get our opinions on the PlayStation State of Play. We
Yeah.
did watch this a few hours, I'm assuming, before this recording, and so this is fresh, but it's gonna go out first thing tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about it right now. But first, I'm gonna let you say what you want to say about
Yeah.
Castle Crashers, and then we can move on to that. But go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So speaking of opinions, I gotta fix mine from last week. I
All
had
right.
thought about it right after the show. I was comparing Castle Crash's difficulty to Remnant, and I realized no, Remnant 2 is harder. Like Remnant 2 is
Okay.
harder than Castle Crash. What it is you know how in Remnant 2 there's moments where we could just kind of like walk around, like investigate. We had time to sit down and solve a puzzle
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You don't get time in Castle Crashers. Like every moment something's happening. You're always fighting or running or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So moment to moment is always high pressure. Uh, but then also I realize what makes it harder for me is I
Mm-hmm.
am horrible with depth perception. So the game is like 2.5, where it's like a side scroller, but you can move up and down as well. So there's several times where I'll set up for an attack and just hit nothing because I'm not angled correctly, or I thought I've angled out of the way and get hit because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't dodge correctly. That's what makes it harder for me. Where it's easier for me to tell where I'm at depth wise in Remnant. So it was a personal difficulty thing, but overall, nah, I don't want to trick people into thinking, oh, let me like hop on Cash Crash is going to be much harder or stay away from it because they think it's going to be too hard. Remnant 2 is harder.
Okay, and just for anybody out there that was wondering, Castle Crashers is a little bit of an older game that should be almost completely multi-plat. You should find it for under $10,
Yes.
almost everywhere, and um, you could play it co-op, or play by yourself, and it's for people who probably do like a little bit of a challenge, and it's side scrolling basically. Most notable for like the PC player base, I believe. But yeah, cool game. It kind of reminds you, at least from the way the character designs are, of like Munchkin Power Rangers almost in a way.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who's into something like that. But yeah, so he's just basically saying Remnant, put some respect on Remnant's name, basically.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, so we don't seem like we betraying the Remnant audience overnight, because we put heavy stock in the Remnant too, and the first one. But yeah, I guess we could move on. So everybody is here to hear our opinions on this PlayStation show. I gotta say right off the back, I'm glad that it was around 35 minutes. I had no
Yes.
idea what the limit was going to be, but I just know usually state of plays is around that limit. But if it kind of shoehorned itself as being the first of a lot of shows that that's gonna happen basically in June, right? And I'm gonna go over for everybody what those shows are, what the dates are, and even what the times are for a lot of them. They're already there, so it's no longer called E3, but there's a bunch of shows coming out. Summer showcases for a lot of different, PC and platforms. A lot of developers, right? But at the very least, before getting into everything, I thought the pacing was right. I thought they did it correctly.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I
100% agree.
I didn't have too much issue with anything as far as pacing wise. I knew that they were going to probably show a dev here and there every now and then, but the way that they did it, it didn't overshadow any of the showcase for any games. It was more about the games and not like the interviews, And it was back to back. Even when like some of the games took up a lot of time, like the very first game, everything else was still kind of back to back and it flowed. So
Yep.
I do appreciate that from this particular state of play compared to some of the other ones. Now, immediate discourse coming from the internet, it sounds like a lot of people don't like this show, I guess,
Yeah.
overall.
People, I think some people were hyping themselves up for specific announcements that didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen. And on top of that, I think, and we'll talk about it when we get to them, there's certain remakes that are happening and certain remakes that people want, and they were not the same on the show. Uh,
Yeah, so I was talking to, at least for the past like 3 or 4 episodes of my experience with playing Bloodborne, right? Bloodborne is probably at the top of the list of a game that they want to see get
bro,
proper, I guess, either remake or port over to the PS5 at 60
or even a
FPS.
sequel. People want
Yeah,
a sequel.
a sequel. I would want a sequel more than I would want them to just hand me another Until Dawn kind of situation. But at the same time, people just need to be aware. Japan Studios is no longer with them. That was a PlayStation call, unfortunately. And at the same time, as a publisher, From Software is all in on Elden Ring, as they should be, because of the success Elden Ring has had. And then on PlayStation side, the game that they went with initially was Demon Souls, and without From Software being there, it looks like that team is putting more stock into just porting games to PC than it is taking Bloodborne and porting it to the PS5. Most likely it will go from PS5 to PC, but
Yeah.
it's not one of the games that they're doing right now, unfortunately. um
Another one that I saw people want was its turn report, because you
mhm.
mentioned Until Dawn. Infamous. They want Infamous no longer stuck on PS3.
Yeah,
And because Sucker Punch isn't gonna do, they're focused on Ghost of Tsushima, and their track record is they don't go backwards.
yeah.
People want Infamous ported over, or upgraded for PS5 as well.
Yeah, I would like to see both Infamous 1 and 2 come to modern platform.
And
Um,
Festival of Blood, the DLC.
yeah, and that's something I would like to address in a second once we get to well, I can address it now. Like, if you go into like, put it all in one package on the PC side, I feel like you really shouldn't charge the PS5 side for some of the DLCs.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a weird situation where some of them is like God of War Valhalla is the second game that they show, and technically it's on the screen, the PS5 version, but that was like a rare case where the PS5 version's DLC, the Valhalla DLC was already given away.
Uh huh.
But in other cases, like when they put the PC version out of a game, it's like it's definitive, right? And it's all, there's no surprises usually. But even after they've done that, in some cases you'll see on the PlayStation 5 side, the pricing is still similar to the PC's version, but you don't get the DLC in some of these games. And I kind of feel like that's
Yeah.
not really fair, especially when we get to the part of the conversation where we address the whole platform jumping back and forth. But okay,
So can I mention the first issue with the show? The immediate first issue?
yeah, go ahead, because that was in the warning, right? And a lot of people wouldn't
Oh,
have caught it,
right
including me.
before that too.
Okay.
Yeah, so right before the warning. I caught the show right at the start, and if you watched it live, it had a 10-second countdown that led to a 30-second countdown. Like I don't know why it bothered me so, but it was like a
They wasn't
very
ready.
hyped up, like
They
it was like
wasn't ready.
hyped up, epic music, like 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1, and then like it immediately was like 30, 20, like it was like, oh, okay. Uh, but the other thing is there was a little disclaimer right before the show started, and I went back and like paused it because I was like, what did that say? Because I thought I saw something about PSN required on PC, and
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what it said. It said the show was going to mention like games being made for both PS5 or the whole game footage captured on PS5 and PC. Some of it may not reflect the final
Mm-hmm.
product, but then the last sentence said all games coming to PC require a PlayStation Network account. That was the last sentence said in the disclaimer.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe or maybe more than that, where the situation was surrounding about around Hell Divers, right? Where
Yep, when they
they
said
kind
that would
of
be the last one that doesn't require, because
yeah
people
they
got mad.
moonwalked on it because a lot of people was upset. I guess they didn't want to lose the player base overnight. But I guess going forward, you could argue they might have shot themselves in the foot initially, but I think in the long run, for the people who really just want to play the game, they're probably gonna not worry about it, maybe. But
The issue is the people who are on PC usually they don't want a PSN account
yeah,
because they don't want them tied. But also, there's a lot of people where you can't get a PSN account. Apparently, it's not in every country, and those people have access to like PC, and they just won't be able to play it because they can't get a PlayStation Network account unless they set up a VPN and have to have both running in order to play the game. But then turning on the VPN messes up their Steam account because their Steam account is still tied to the regular location. So then it's like, well, what's going on here? So it's just there's going to be a lot of countries that won't be able to play these games that were getting ported over, and this was their only way to be able to play anyways.
yeah, that's unfortunate a little bit because it makes it to where they're not considering everybody. They're more considering their bottom line a little bit, where they like. I don't think it's
Yeah.
just the trophies. I think they kind of just want a certain level of control that I think also PC players, as they should be, like do not want to give away certain power that they have on their platform. You know what I mean? Um, I'm newly
Yeah.
joined, and so I kind of feel the same way. It's like if I buy some machine that is way too expensive, I don't want you dictating what I do on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I can imagine going forward, one of the things they will probably try to block is like certain mods, because some of the
Uh,
developers already are trying to do that with certain things, and that's a
still
super staple. That's a staple on the PC community side. It's like playing the game and just kind of just tinkering with it anyway. Like it's not even just like reskinning things. Like I saw this ridiculous thing that I posted not too long ago on the social media of somebody reskinning the cat from Stray to being CJ from
of course.
from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and he was just kind of like mini and on all fours and saying some of the classic lines while moving around like a cat. It was hilarious stuff. But of course the developer might say like, well, that's compromising the vision of the game. But at that point, it's like, well, you got your money. The person played
Right.
it one time or two times or something the way that they should have. And then now
Yep.
they just want to mess around with it. Like,
And all they got to do is put out a disclaimer that just basically says, like, we're not responsible for patching mods. Like, Of course, sometimes they think will stop working because the mod isn't compatible. Just be like, well then, like other things do that, right? If you tinker with it, you can't send it back because something broke. They're just like you messed with the warranty. So I was like, we're gonna do mods that fix our game, but if it's messed up because of, or we're gonna do patches, but if it's messed up because of a mod, that's on you. That's it. And then like let people mod
Yeah.
the way they want. They already bought it. It's theirs.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get back on track with the game because now we on Resident Evil footage. I expected that to be the footage when we get to Silent Hill, so we way behind. But that's okay. The first game though, I'm gonna tell you for sure. The second I saw it, I was like, they are copying Guardians of the Galaxy. Immediately, it was just
That's
like
what everybody's saying.
it was immediate. It was so blatant. Like it was insane how blatant it was because the personalities was like that. The way the team was. Now Concord, I do want to mention. So this game's name was mentioned. I want to say about 3 years ago. So back when Starfield was like all hype and it had like we didn't have no info whatsoever. Like I believe it was still part of the situation where Xbox had just acquired ZeniMax and Bethesda, right? And so it was already pretty much looking like this game was not going to go to PlayStation initially. And I remember what was mentioned was like, okay, they're going to make their version of just a PlayStation exclusive space game because there's too much hype around it. All we knew was the name. It was Concord, right? Now we fast forward to now, and it almost looks like they're getting ready to do what Suicide Squad did, but just in first person, and they snatched Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of threw it on top of it. What was so crazy is my note says like one of the characters, the brute characters, literally named Star Child, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, whoa, okay, all right, but
So even though it is a copy of it,
yeah,
I thought the cinematic like made
the cinematic looked good. It did look
but
good.
it made me interested in this. Is like all this. It could be a Guardians of the Galaxy, but like original characters.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. And then the gameplay reminded me, oh yeah, no, this is a multiplayer game, and I instantly lost interest. Like I don't want to play this.
It looked like it looked like almost like their version of like a Overwatch or a COD kind of thing. Like this might have been their answer to like that type of game, because we was already saying they lacked in first person shooter, and this is one of them that's going to come out as a first person shooter that they did not have as their own.
I would have much preferred this. Like it should have been a single player or like a co-op, like story driven game. Like the cinematic looks good for a story, and to me it's just wasted on live service.
Yeah, when they went to where it looked like it would have been like you choose between one of the 5 or 6, they kind of was just standing there, and they went from personality to just kind of dead models to me.
Yep.
But yeah, this is their answer to everyone saying they lacked a first person shooter and they needed one. I will give them some props for putting out something in that category. It's just unfortunately that they kind of had to take a few liberties here and there in order to do it, and it looks like they were more focused on let's get something out that looks like something that people would have liked and plays like something that people are already playing in a way. That's where the Overwatch comparison comes in, things like that. But it does have a due date for this year, I believe, August 23rd. So it should be good to go. There's a couple things here that actually have release dates for this year. So it's not just everything going out in 2025. So at least they have some titles here for you to choose from. Not too many, but they have something here. So that's one of them. They spent the first full 10 minutes on this. This was a 35-minute show, and they gave it like the first 10 minutes, like almost a third of this went directly to this. So they were introducing this and saying, "Hey, this is our strong start. You like space games? You say we don't got no first person shooters? Well, we're going to throw something out there for you." And so, is this a buy for you? Are you going to buy this at all?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I
Okay.
don't like. I'm not for this live service push to the future.
Yeah.
If this was a single player game, it would have been on my list. Like the cinematic would have won me over.
Yeah.
Because of how much it reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy game and how good that was. Notice the dude in there too even had the hair, like Star Lord.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was
But
crazy.
like, I would have been so down for this, and then it was just nah, never mind.
You know what's funny too? Because at one point we had this kind of conversation about Power World in a way. Power World is I would still say like Power World is a little bit more like blatant towards Pokemon in a way, and you can see because it was just boom gameplay. Where this we don't really get to see the gameplay as much. It's just it looks like your typical gameplay of like arena shooters in a way, but it's just like I would not be surprised though if they might have gotten a call or they might get a statement from Marvel or something. You know what I mean? Like I would not, because that's what happened with Nintendo. Nintendo addressed Power World and then left it at that. They just didn't say the name. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel might say something. If, you know, once videos, the YouTubers and stuff, the videos come out and people start making direct comparisons where it's like this person's personality is this person's personality is that, and like really break it down, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder, will the personality show with it being a multiplayer game? Or is it just going to be select your character, go? Like, I don't think the personalities are even going to pop up outside of that cinematic.
It depends on how cutscene heavy this is, because they gave it a really long that cutscene there, and that looks like it costs a little bit of money. It would be weird for that to be that, and then it doesn't end up in a game, or you don't have more of that to show for the game. You know, I still also kind of compare it to Suicide Squads too. It seems like they were going for the same idea, but it was all quote unquote original, you know, Team U versions of Guardians of the Galaxy, you know what I mean? But the idea is like at the end of the day, it's still a shooter. You pick your guy and everybody's shooting, you know? So it now Suicide Squads was not what people wanted. I wonder if there was a meeting or something when they probably saw that, because they were going for the same kind of idea. It's just it's all original. Now with Suicide Squads, it's just like these were well established characters to a certain universe, and people didn't want to see characters used a certain way because it wouldn't fit their lore and the respect of their character overall. Where with this is like, well, technically speaking, you don't know these people. Technically speaking, right. It is a clone in a way. So we should be able to use this free range however we want, right? I just wonder how it would be perceived.
People want it. That's the issue.
I don't think people want it that much, but I would say if it was a PS Plus, like at some point it probably will be. That's probably when I would play it. That's something that they don't want you to keep saying, but unfortunately, it's like with certain titles, it's like the very next title, if it's not up to that standard, you don't really want to buy it, unfortunately. And we're kind of used to the PS Plus Game Pass mentality where it's just like, I'll just wait for it to go there. Like if it's really not the best, it's like, well, then I'll just wait for it to go there. Not even for the sale. I think for some of these, I don't think this one is wait for a sale. I think it's just wait for it to be on the service. It's unfortunate, but I'm happy at least that they're trying to do something in that one category where they had like literally nothing, right? Like if there was a situation where like if Call of Duty and Overwatch was literally gone from PlayStation like what would have happened. You know what I mean? It's like here's an immediate solution to that. Hopefully they'll develop something better in long term, but they still needed to start pumping out something in this category. Like I still feel like they should have, but yeah, I don't think a lot of people gonna play it. I don't think so. Unfortunately. Now the very next game, of course, a lot of people gonna play. Yeah.
What was the next game?
Ragnarok, man, on PC.
Yeah.
Ultra wide, unlock frames depending on what you got, what you rig, and yeah, you get to play it. The Valhalla DLC is going with it, and I mean we knew that was going to happen eventually. We didn't know it was going to happen at this particular show, but I think people are more accepting of this, because of 2018 and a bunch of other games. I don't think we got enough people having a temper tantrum over this anymore. Plus, if you are really a diehard PlayStation only person, I feel like you probably played this already. If you was really that,
people don't want it on other systems. There's still petitions to have this removed.
Yeah. So, I think at this point we're beating a dead horse. Yeah. It's because once you do, it's two games in particular. Once you do God of War, once you do Last of Us, everything else is really like it kind of just follows suit at that point. It's almost like where I think with the Xbox show that's coming up, there was rumors of the bigger games possibly going on other platforms, and it's like there's one in particular, and I think two in particular technically, but or three: Halo, Gears, and Forza. It's like once one of those go, it's like that's it, right? And I think the main one would be Halo first, and then Gears, and then Forza. And yeah, once one of those happen, is like that's it. And I kind of feel like that's the same thing for PlayStation to PC. And we kind of already did that, right? But yeah, Ragnarok, great game. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm actually technically not finished with it. I still want to do a lot of after game boss fights, and technically, I actually did not touch the Valhalla DLC yet.
I started it. I want to get back into it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna play that. You know what's funny? The next game though, Dynasty Warriors Origins. This is like one of the first of many where I put in parentheses no Switch. It's like some of the games. It's a lot of games out there where it's like it's multi-plat, but then when you look at it, it's like it's not on the Switch though. And this is kind of one of them that I put. It's kind of ironic though because there's a lot of Dynasty Warrior type games that are like associated with Nintendo. The Hyrule Warriors obviously is what comes to mind for me. But yeah, this is coming out sometime in 2025, and it will be everywhere except the Switch. It will not be on the Switch.
Yeah.
If you like that, hack and slash where 50 people get slashed at one time and they kind of fall back and stuff like that, that's basically what this is. One of the games that I played on my channel that got really good views and stuff and people subscribed off of was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which it was supposed to be like a warrior style game similar to this, but is all surrounding the world of Breath of the Wild and some what if stories around Breath of the Wild. But I guess overall this is a warrior type game. I think that's almost like Souls games, but it's like not Souls, is warriors, right? That's the genre. And so basically you slash 50 people back at one time, you do like a big boom to the ground and they all just like go flying everywhere. If you're a big fan of The Matrix Reloaded and you want to just be Neo and you beat up 1,000 Agent Smiths at one time, this is for you. This is this is definitely for you. So yeah. Is this a game you like?
No. The Dynasty Warrior, it looked good. I don't know if I'll get it, but it looks okay. Like it looks pretty fun. I don't know. Like when you start off with Concord, like this was an up.
Yeah.
So
this one's for me probably another one of those things where it's just like if it's given away on one of those platforms, I might get it. It's the Warriors games in general is not really my style of game. it's very repetitive of like the hack and slash mode. You almost will hurt your hand as many times as you're, stomping on the A button
Yeah.
or the X button just to do it. But yeah, for anybody
This
else,
next,
it's good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
can I try and describe this next game? 'Cause,
Yeah, so if you want to lower your testosterone and
bro,
you looking for a testosterone suppressant, go ahead and play this. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us
this
what it is.
game, it's like it was everything. So it's called like Infinity and Nikki, right? Or Infinity
Yeah.
Nikki. Uh, it was like Pokemon Snap fused with Breath of the Wild. It was a girl who I guess she's gathering supplies to make fashion, and there's a bunch of little cats that follow her around who are doing like the Pokemon Snap thing. So you're taking photos, you're crafting fashion, you're traversing the land. There's a bunch of different settings and everything in a full realized world, but then also there was like a part where she did like a Kamehameha against some boss like fight, and then the
Yeah.
last part showed some woman like chained up from the sky, like talking to her, like, "Are you really ready for this?" or something. So I don't know what's going on, but it looks like the game was like they took every single game style. It was like we're gonna put it all in one and make it the most feminine looking thing ever.
Yeah, it has some platforming in it that it took me off by it took me by surprise because when I immediately saw the platforming, I was like, "Oh, I didn't think that we would see platforming period anymore from any bigger show." I thought that was like almost on an indie level thing from here on out.
Well,
Um but yeah, we're going to get to that. But I remember I put in my notes as well that no Switch for this as well. But it's ironic because the last game in this game, it feels like there should be a Switch version, but there's not. This looks like it's aimed more towards the Switch audience, though. Funny enough, but it's for PS4, PS5, and PC. Um, I don't think I would play this really at all. It's another one of those things you got to give it to me,
not
but
at
even
all.
if you give it to me, it's like I got to sneak and I got to like hide my profile somewhere. How do you make it to where you don't see my achievements on this and you don't see my trophies on this? Because this one of
You
the
don't
things where
want
it's
to
just
make
like
dresses and take photos?
I gotta check your man card if you play this kind of thing. It's kind of one of
They
those. It's
have
like
fight scenes.
I don't know about this one. Not for
They
me,
have fight scenes.
but some people might like it. It's not. I need something with just a little bit more. God of War ish. Some
There's
blunt
fight
man.
scenes. They might have God of
I
War combat.
I don't know. I don't know. It feel like when somebody get hit, like hearts would just come out of them or something. Glitter would just come out of them. Remember, Twilight was like my man was supposed to burst into flames in the
Right, he just got
vampire. And
shiny.
he just he started glittering. It's like it's kind of like that. Now this is perfect game for you to give to your woman. You know what I'm saying? You want her to play something outside of The Sims. Finally, it's like here you go. Here's something that's not The Sims. Yeah, but not for me. Not for me. Some of the games though, I think this is where it kind of got a little repetitive for me because the next game was like a heavy slasher. It looked cool, but it seemed
Yeah,
like
Ballad
from
of
here we were
Tara.
starting to see some more slashers and stuff. But yeah, that's free to play. It's gonna
Ooh,
come out in 2025 at some point. I thought it
on
was
that
put
topic,
together though.
because
Yeah,
they said it's like a Souls like,
yeah,
apparently. I actually saw a comment that said, not every game needs to look like Elden Ring or Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I saw that comment. And
yeah. I
so it's like
agree.
everything coming out looks like that.
I agree because they kind of overdid it in this category on this show. Like I said before, I still enjoyed the pacing, but then at some point it was just like, okay, there's a lot of samurais, a lot of
Yeah.
anime samurais basically. So with it being free to play, I could entertain it, you know, probably not as soon as it comes out, but maybe 2-3 weeks later or something when it calms down a little bit, I might entertain it. It don't look like a game that I would want to spend money in there. I don't think I'm gonna get addicted to this, but I'm huge on hack and slashers, but I like mine to be a nice quality one that yes I would have paid for, but not necessarily predatory. I don't think this would be
Now,
too predatory,
uh,
but it is free to play.
it does have cross progression too, and it looks like it
Yeah.
does have multiplayer, so we could probably check it out.
Yeah, I do like that. I like that cuz that gives me options to play from different one of my platforms and stuff. Um I might wish list this just to keep track of it. Um so far that's like the only thing. If anything, Concord, I think they're going to really push this in your face and make sure you see this because they kind of already was doing that. But I don't think I will risk this Concord for myself. I just think we're gonna be end up talking about it as more time goes on. Because this is right around the corner. But this game here might be one of the first ones that I do wish list, but I'm not in a hurry to play. It's just more just keep track of it. Um, the next two games actually was for the VR audience. I don't have a VR system, but I can acknowledge what they've done here. Sky Dances, is it Behemoth? Did I write that down right?
Behemoth.
Behemoth, man. What did I say? Yeah, you right. Behemoth. I wrote it down weird. I got it like also in between a lot because I was rushing to do this. But that I think has for a VR game, it looks better than some of the other stuff they had before. It's still not on the level of some of our regular third person and first person games, but I remember at one point I was kind of criticizing the VR selection of games because they looked like they took a step back graphic wise, and it was just like in VR and you had these like Rayman kind of characters. This particular game, like
Yeah.
your hands, you could have the full arm. You know, it was like there was a lot of VR characters where it was just like you Rayman, you just have hollow, invisible arms and legs, but you can see the feet and the hands. And I'm like, what is that? Like, and so that one you at least have your arms and stuff. That's about as much as I can give it. And then it was kind of cool because I think what did they say was the makers of the Walking Dead game, and he was doing a lot of the
Yeah.
the grappling hook thing. It looked decent for somebody who's gonna play on VR. Unfortunately, the VR is still not necessarily, at least on the PlayStation side. I don't feel like I'm sold on it yet. The VR2, right? Unfortunately, this one in the Aliens Rogue in Cursora. I don't know if I said it right. I wrote it down wrong. But Aliens, not Fire Team Elite, but it looked like Alien Isolation in VR.
Rogue Incursion. I was trying to
Incursion.
figure out what you were saying.
I don't know, man. I butchered it though. It's not even. It's like it's not even clear on here because of how fast I wrote it. But yeah. Both games. It looked like it's probably fun for somebody who already has VR. I don't know if either one is a system seller for VR though. The Alien game you might actually see on the MetaQuest, but I'm not really that sold. Are you sold on this? Would you get the VR2 to play either one of these?
No, but if I had a VR, I'd play that first one.
Okay.
Scout Behemoth.
Yeah.
That one looked interesting. I'd probably
That
do
looked
the
more
Alien
interesting
one
to
too,
me.
But yeah, no, it's not a buy a VR.
Yeah. The Alien one really just felt like Alien Isolation.
I
That's what it
honestly
felt
don't
like.
know if anything's gonna be a buy the VR because the VR costs just as much as the system.
Yeah. The next game was for you, man. Remember you said you wanted another superhero game. They got you. Marvel Rivals. They got you. Here you go.
It's just Overwatch. It's another multiplayer game.
They were
I'm
showing
good.
Spider-Man and Venom. You know, you can do all of that. I think we
I have
spoke on it
never,
last
ever,
week, but yeah.
I have never ever seen Venom move like that. Like where he was like sliding across the ground. I have never seen that once. Like this whole
Yeah, this was not new. I think we spoke on it last week or the week before. It is for anybody who was wanting to look at this. I believe it was in early access on PC.
Yeah.
So not only that, you could probably pull archives from your favorite streamer or look up on Twitch like current people right now playing this, so you can get an idea of what it looks like. But yeah, Overwatch, Overwatch, maybe a sprinkling of some Fortnite. That's what they were going for. And yeah, I mean, I don't really want to play it. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I don't really want to play it either. But it's there. It is what it is. Um, the next game, funny enough, uh, I've mentioned this on the channel before though. Where Wind Meets. This is in development for PS5. Originally, also in development for PC first. It looks like there's going to be a PS5 version. I didn't see anything for Xbox. And also not Switch. But another one of those games where I said before how the style of game was getting a little repetitive. This is kind of in that category as well.
Yeah.
It is something that I was looking forward to. This was something I originally, I think, wish list like a long time ago. This isn't new at all. It might be news to a lot of people. It's not new to me. I gotta say, how long ago was that? Probably 6 to 8 months ago. So it was a while. It was a while back, but yeah, I mentioned this before. It was out there. It was on my radar. Here's the next one that everybody kind of knew was going to happen. Nobody asked for it, but they did it anyway, right? The PS5 and the PC version of Until Dawn. I can imagine the same idea that they are going for with this is the same as what they did with The Last of Us Part 1, where it's just like it is the same game, but we make some tiny tweaks here and there, and if you blink, you miss it. Um, and yeah, this is gonna be.
Still look good as is.
Yeah,
The
it's
PS4 one still looks great.
yeah, it's so for anybody who ain't played it. I mean, what's funny is I have that PS Plus Collections version. If I remember correctly, I think if everybody got a PS5, whoever got a PS5 within a certain amount of time, and you had PS Plus at the time, you got access to this PS Plus collection.
Yep.
And that was actually the original way that I had access to Bloodborne. I believe Persona 5, not Persona 5 Royal, but that was in there. And Until Dawn was one of those games too. I think Resident Evil 7. It was a nice little collection. But the PS4 version of Until Dawn was there. This isn't it's funny because it's like it's not an action game. It's definitely ain't nowhere near what Dynasty Warriors Origins is.
More like Detroit Become Human, or it's the predecessor to the like Dark Pictures anthology games. It's one of those ones where you make, or like Heavy Rain, where you make choices and there's several different endings based off of who lives and who dies and stuff like that.
It's just the way the gameplay is. You don't necessarily need 60 FPS, and you don't need like some uncapped 144 hertz on PC either. It's like one of those like it's a movie-ish kind of thing, right? You're yes. Watching it unfold and stuff, and so like with Dynasty Warriors, it's like yes, you definitely need 60 FPS for that, right? Hyrule Warriors on the Switch was really, really lacking at one point, and my video had helped people like understand like, oh, there's a patch, so I guess it's time to play it, right? That type of game, it makes sense for the 60 FPS. I would think one of the selling points for Until Dawn is like, yeah, it's improving on the they always say like, okay, it's 60 FPS now instead of 30, and it's improving on the visuals and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. This might be a big flop. Maybe not on the PC side because it was never there. But I don't see this moving that much weight on the PS5. Matter of fact, I didn't check, but I'm pretty sure I'm willing to bet there's a lot of dislikes on this. I'm willing to bet that this has a heavy amount of dislikes on the video under the PlayStation.
People are getting sick of PS4 games getting ported to the PS5. It's also weird because like the PS5 can play PS4 games. Some of the PS5 games were also on PS4, and then the PS4 games are getting ported to the PS5. And it's like, give me a reason to have a PS5, like not a PS4. But they want PS3 games because they've been locked onto that system. If you're gonna remaster something, remaster those.
Yeah, and what's really crazy is I could probably shoehorn this in real quick because it didn't have to be that long, but it kind of came out that a bulk of the PlayStation audience in general is still preferring to play on the PS4, and they're not in a hurry to upgrade on the PS5 at all, even though we're very close to the halfway point of the generation officially. So, this kind of move is not helping people go from the PS4 to the PS5 because I'm pretty sure everyone has already got this game if they really wanted it. It may make people more aware of this game, and then they might go find a physical copy for about $15 or less, especially if you're getting it used from some mom and pop store, right? So, yeah, it is what it is about this. I will play the PS4 version that I own. I have no reason to upgrade here at all. Matter of fact, I don't even think is set up we'll probably have to figure out by next week, but I don't think this is set up where you put the disc in and you buy the upgrade at all. I think you got to just pay for this, right?
No, it's just I believe it's just a PS5 version of the game, not an all upgrade.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely separate from before. Yeah, you know what? I think Last of Us Part 1 was the same thing versus Last of Us Remastered. So, yeah. But anyways, we can move on. Path of Exile 2, opposite of everything getting ported to the PC, this is the first case of doing the reverse, right? So what's funny is like within the first 5 seconds I was confused. I was just like, what's going on? We already got Diablo. Is this the DLC? I was like, oh, that's not Diablo. And then yeah, so but if you're a fan of that and you don't want to play Diablo, you want to play something else, this is still heavy on the PC side. It's going to be on the consoles. I believe that also includes the Switch. Maybe you can fact check me on that, but I didn't put no Switch on here, so I'm assuming. But yeah, definitely PlayStation and Xbox for sure. But if you
right?
Yeah.
It is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But PlayStation 5 and Series X and S, you'll be able to play this for sure. Is this one of your games? Did we find one at least?
I mean, it looks interesting. I don't know if I'll jump into it though, but
yeah, I mean, it does look good as a like co-op in a way. They did mention it had couch co-op too. They was briefly showing what looks like it could have been a boss fight in a way. It's definitely not no Baldur's Gate 3, but at least you have options in this category. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but I've been looking for a Diablo alternative since Diablo upset me. But I mean, I don't know if I want to do this one because it is free to play, so it also has the same amount of like microtransactions. Which for me, that's the thing. It's a microtransaction. To me, doesn't make sense in a looter game because the whole point is to get everything by replaying stuff, not to pay for it.
Yeah. But I think I might want to play this one day. But the thing about it is, for me, I think I will probably go with the PC version now that I got this overly expensive rig. I don't think I would be concerned with this console version. But yeah, now speaking of options here, now this is a very interesting option because this is supposed to be a big deal. I'm getting the feeling that it's not a big deal to the fan base, which is crazy. But I don't think it's dead on arrival though. But I just don't think it's as big a deal as it should be. Silent Hill 2. Now, this has basically an October 8th release date right before Halloween. It's going to give you plenty of time right in that window to play this game. It definitely looks like you know who. But I do want to play this. I'm not in a hurry to play it right then and there. Most likely I will be playing one of the Resident Evils, probably Resident Evil 7 at that point, because that was the next one up. But I actually was trying to play that way into the summer, but I don't know.
I don't think Path of Exile 2 is on Switch.
Okay, so no Switch on that. I can probably believe that's true because hardly anything is being able to go to the Switch nowadays. But yeah, Silent Hill 2. Is this something you would play?
No.
No.
So, no. Like, it's just, I knew about the whole original Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't. I don't want it. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. I guess I might try it out. Because I remember it from before, right? So, I don't know. It's just a reboot that I didn't think needed to be made. And also, to me, it's weird because this is what's his name's games, right? What's that dude's name? Who's the maker for Silent Hill?
Oh, he's no longer with it, but Kojima was, yeah. So at one point too, there, like in the PS4 generation, there was just this major hype around the demo, which was called Playable Teaser PT, right? And it had Reedus in it from The Walking Dead, the guy with the arrows. And in the demo, he wasn't actually in the demo itself, but he was supposed to be in that game. That Kojima and Konami had a fallout and everything.
Yeah.
That game basically was canceled. Kojima went on to do Death Stranding. The main actor was in Death Stranding. He's also going to be in Death Stranding 2 when that comes out. And then the playable teaser, if you had access to it, you got to keep it on your profile, but it got delisted, so it became like a rare thing at one point. This doesn't have Kojima in it at all, this particular remake.
I don't know, I feel like it's like his brainchild.
Yeah.
It's weird because not only is he not part of it, I don't feel like he was like, here's my blessing to continue. Like, that sort of thing. So it feels weird to me. Like, it just feels like it's not going to be the same because it's not the same. Like, it's a remake.
Like, the soul is not in it. The soul is not in it. It's like it's an empty shell.
Did they release a new thing last year?
There was supposed to be multiple-ish games that was coming out on the series, which include mobile. It might have been mobile. But I know it was like Silent Hill, and I think F was in it, like Silent Hill F.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. This is supposed to be the mainline one, the mainline remake. Funny enough, I just remember, like, earlier this week, the original Silent Hill games went on sale. I had them on my wish list on my Xbox profile. So there's the Xbox 360 versions of them. If you wanted to play the original, I believe the original that's a part of the HD collection on Xbox was like $3.99, right? And I grabbed that. Then I grabbed Silent Hill Homecoming. Homecoming's got very mixed reviews amongst the community, but that one I think was like $6. So it was like a $11 purchase for 2 or 3 different games, and it's like all the originals. So if somebody wants to see the hype, they can go play that. And I believe also if you have a PC, Short message. Okay.
That was what I was thinking of.
Yeah. You can also probably play some of the emulator versions too if you just really wanted to. PS2 versions is the ones that come to mind. But yeah, I supported the developer at that point, and I grabbed it. I do want to play this at some point. Yes, I'm more of a Resident Evil head. But just like other Souls games, other Dynasty games, alternative to Baldur's Gate 3. You have your options. So anybody who likes survival horror, you have some option here. Um, and I also want to throw a nugget out there for anybody who really wants a different option. Go check out the game called Daymare. I believe it's two different games, Daymare 1998 and 1994. Go check those out. Um, but yeah, October 8th, this year. Um, not fully multiplat. There's another one that's not on Switch. You can't say multiplayer. You gotta say not on Switch. It's everywhere else though. Yeah, and then the next game. This is my co-host's game of the night. This was Monster Hunter Wilds, also not on Switch. Everywhere else.
Oh, well, it was.
Monster. Funny enough, I think Monster Hunter Rise started off as a Switch exclusive, and then afterwards it went everywhere. But here's they did the opposite. It was like, all right, now you don't get it, and maybe we'll give it to you later. So Monster Hunter Wilds is the game. I do think once we get to the point where we talk about the Capcom show, this might come back up during that show. But yeah, it's Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter sells itself at this point. There's a gigantic community around this. If it's a part of the service or something, maybe I'll try it. I'm not in a hurry to play this. I actually still got to play the other one, Monster Hunter World. I'm that far behind. I got to finish that. But yeah, I ain't gonna play this. My co-host is gonna play this day one. He's gonna buy the collector's edition with the statue and everything, big monster statue.
Watch me not.
It's funny because we're really taking this much time. I got 30 minutes worth of footage. You think we could do it? The last game here. This was my game of the night. Astro Bot.
This was everybody's game of the night. Oh man.
Yeah. Everybody who has a PS5, you played that demo. You probably fell in love with the concept of what they were doing. All the things that they did with that demo, and you probably said to yourself, man, they should make a big full game. They could really, we was probably speaking on hype, but you was probably saying maybe they can compete with Super Mario. Maybe if they just did it. I think PlayStation was
even compete, just have their own.
Yeah, just have their own. PlayStation took the feedback. I'm assuming they got to work on this right away, and they just showed a ton of levels, a ton of stuff going on. Shout out to the release date for this, September 6th. I will probably be buying this day one or somewhere around my birthday time, because it's around my birthday time. This easily will probably be a $70 purchase that I will buy.
Yeah.
I was very much in love with the demo that they did. I will say the one thing that would probably sell me to try to get that first PlayStation VR would have been the VR version of this game. The only reason I didn't pull the trigger is because it wasn't backwards compatible with VR2, basically. And so I was just like, well, if you're not going to port over the VR1 games to the VR2, then it's hard for me to make that kind of purchase just for one game. But if they did it, I would have probably had bought that system and played this game on the VR version. But this being a full regular PS5 version game, I'm gonna play it. It does seem like it'll be a weird one that might get ported to the PC at some point, because all on the screen was just like this PlayStation 5 being like some sort of like mothership or something, and it was like rockets and stuff taking off.
I don't think it will.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It would be weird.
I don't think it'll be ported, because one of the big things about Astrobot is fully utilizing the DualSense controller, and you lose that on anything else. So
yeah, it also seems like they're positioning this game in a way to be like the Halo almost of like the mascot basically of the system. Yeah. Like it's almost like they're shoehorning out like Ratchet and Clank. Like Ratchet and Clank, you don't get to have this spot no more. You just
why not? If I know a lot of people for PlayStation 1, to be honest, associate it with Crash Bandicoot, right?
Yeah.
And Mario is the mascot for like Nintendo. Like platformers make a good mascot. and
Yeah.
because it's accessible to everybody. And since they don't really own Crash Bandicoot, right? And you need a replacement. Why not the cool little ninja bot that everybody likes? Like it looks cool. It fully utilizes your system. It shows off everything the controller can do in a fun way.
Yeah.
It was a fun game. The music is great. Even this, where it was like, "I am Astrobot," like as it was playing, and it just I love the music. Uh, I
Yeah.
think this would be a perfect mascot for them, and it's yours. Like this is a character you don't have to worry about the studio going to a new play. Like this is your thing. Like why not
Yeah.
focus around it?
I remember like when I played the demo game, like there was a moment where I was kind of done with the game, but I went back into it and just walked around the common area where you just had all these PlayStation accessories from all the years and just
Yep,
reminisced on it and stuff, and I was just really like I wish I could almost made a video of like telling stories about each system as I walked by it with the character. It was just like one of those moments, you know, and I might actually do it one day right before this game comes out. But
that sounds cool.
um, yeah, big game, almost saved the show for me, almost. But I think this is somewhere around a 6 to a 7 out of 10. I didn't really have too much issue with it. I just kind of felt like the pacing was good. They showed some games. Not a lot of it was something I wanted to play. I just feel like, but they still had a variety here, and there was something that I could pick out that I still wanted. Like this Astrobot easily became like a day one buy for me. I don't really have a top five for this year, but I will say this would have been in a top five if I did like just immediately. Because really, the only top game that I wanted to buy this year was Black Myth Wukong, which comes out 1 month before, and I think I might end up buying both of them like August and September, like for the full amount right then and there. Um, yeah, 6.5 to 7 out of 10 for me. I wasn't angry at it. I didn't want to like trash it, but um,
6 out of 10 for me. Astrobot was definitely the highlight.
yeah, that saved
Made
it.
me really excited for it.
It really saved it, but everything else it wasn't so bad that I was just like hating it. It was just like here's some games and I'm just not going to get around to everything, but I'll play the stuff that I want to play when I'm ready to play it. But something being like way like they kind of threw this out of nowhere and it was what I wanted to see basically. So that kind of like gave it a bunch of extra points, but that's probably it. But yeah, I guess we can move forward. Let me do the middle of the show or 2/3 of the show here. We talk about Epic Games at some point every show, and with Epic Games, I just talk about like what they have that's going to be free for the audience. Everybody loves free, and it's not just free. It's not really free to play stuff. It's just like literally games that were sold at a certain price that's actually free for about a week's amount of time, and you can create a profile, add them, and if you don't have a PC, once you do get a PC or any handheld variety out there, you log in and then all those games are there, right? um so this one looks like it's just like one of those classics. Chivalry 2, available from now to June 6th. I don't think um I don't what was I gonna say? It's available now to June 6th, but they did not mention what the next game is. I think they're sticking with this mystery game thing. So from June 6th going forward, there's going to be another mystery game. We're not going to know until June 6th at 11 a.m. But yeah, the other game is here, and I do not have any sales to mention really, outside of I guess what I said before about the Silent Hill stuff. But I do want to say, let me put some respect on a couple of these games' names because we did not talk about them before. One of them is being the GameCube port on the GameCube port to the Switch for Nintendo, which was Paper Mario 2000-year door. Um, Overall, more positive reviews than negative. Is really looking like a straight port with a little bit of shiny upgrades here and there. I do think it's a game I'm probably going to get. I don't think. I think it looks like it's better than like the emulator version on GameCube, so I don't mind buying this at some point. Um, that is a game we did not mention last week. Um, I guess I could mention also there's a game that came out called X Defiant. This is a free to play game coming from Ubisoft. It's a first person shooter. It's a competitor to COD, kinda, but obviously COD is probably going to be king in the first person shooters, like nothing nobody else could do. But at least this game got some steam, and it had some people, playing it on Twitch.
And if I'm not mistaken, X Defiant is very popular overseas.
Yeah, if you looked at it and you didn't know, you would have thought it was COD, basically. But yeah, so that's out there for anybody. It's free to play. If you don't want to keep paying $60-$70 every year for a COD, or you just want to take a break from it but still want to play first person shooter, and you don't want to play Concord, you could probably play this. That one's a straightforward first person shooter. And then did you know that Multiverse is back? Did you know that?
Yes, I did know it was back.
That might be a bigger topic for itself, but it's back. We're going with, I believe, the free-to-play model here. And I remember they initially just halted it or something. They were saying, it was beta. They basically just told you it was beta all of a sudden when it started to get good, and they brought it back with some changes here and there. I think we got a Jason Voorhees up in this bad boy too. And yeah, it's back officially, making a lot of noise on Twitch as well. I've seen a lot of people playing this game. Did you claim this on Steam or something? Is this one of your games?
I haven't downloaded on PlayStation. I just haven't got back into it yet.
I added it to my Steam profile. I might add it to my profile everywhere later on. But I haven't. I haven't played it
during the beta. So.
Yeah, I remember because I think we had a bunch of your footage too, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Early days.
All right. So yeah, shout out to Multiverses. We'll see if they can really keep its Steam up, basically, compared to the first time around. I don't really. I think the Smash community is not phased whatsoever. But
no.
Another thing I wanted to mention real quick in the news section, something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to, but I paid attention to. The game Transformers Reactivate, originally announced in 2022, it was basically said to be delayed until 2024 during the time, and we kind of just didn't talk about it, kind of forgot about it. But now I guess it's been recently announced that it's also delayed again until 2025. Yeah. So I'm still one of those advocates that's saying I would like to see a modern take on, war and fall of Cybertron. I don't think this is going to be that type of game, but it is still a Transformer game, so that's just beating part of it. that's getting part of what we want. But it's delayed until 2025. That's the most that we know for right now. And then last bit of news before we move on. The champ is here. The champ is here. What I'm referring to is Elden Ring DLC. We're going to be moving close to the DLC's release, which is going to be June 21st, 2024, right a week or two after all of these shows. Shadow of, I want to say Tree, but it's not Tree, it's like Tree or something, ERD Tree. But yeah,
Tree.
Yeah, it's coming back. The game, everybody's been coming out with their soul games, but this was gonna come back and take the crown eventually. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm knee deep in the Bloodborne right now, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm beating bosses by myself. No tricks, no fancy magic from like 50 feet away. I'm fighting them, and I'm winning. And I like the game. I'm appreciating it.
That's what's up.
But yeah. So I think that's all of the news segment. Um, and I guess we can move on real quick. Tell me what's going on. Why do you feel like we were cheated? And I feel like you're saying you and me. We were cheated on Destiny 2. Why do you say that?
So I don't know if you knew this, but I was reading some articles and I just found out the original story for Destiny 2 and the first two DLCs are all vaulted. So apparently when they were adding stuff, the game became too big. So they started vaulting like old things so it's locked behind and no one can ever access it again. So when we started, we didn't get the full game. It just jumped us straight ahead to one of the later DLCs, which is why we had to start doing repetitive stuff like so quickly. Because it was just like DLC stuff. We never got the original story of the game. And I remember the first time I played it, I felt like it was different from where we started, and that's why. Because I was actually playing the story originally that we didn't get to do. So me and you missed out on the whole actual Destiny 2 story, and there's no way to go back and play it.
That's interesting because, when Destiny 2 first came out, versus when we played it, I guess we were like 3-ish years behind or something.
Yep.
Maybe more. So yeah, we really did miss out, and it's unfortunate. But the thing about it too, though, is like there were parts of it that just felt like it really was going nowhere, and then there was this issue that we had to keep redoing stuff because it was like, okay, you did it, now I got to do it, even though we're playing it together. And I think that was one of the biggest factors, though.
Yeah, but all of that stuff was to keep you playing until the next part came out, right?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be redoing stuff to constantly loot over and over because you were already at the level where you missed a bunch of stuff. We should have been so early in the game that it's just story from here on that like we would have had a legit story to go through. But that's also why it just kind of threw us directly in the middle and didn't explain anything that was happening because it wasn't the actual story of the game.
Yeah. That sucks.
So I'm not a fan of that. I don't like the idea that if you come in later, you don't get the original stuff just because you made your game too big. Which is, again, to me, an issue with live service games.
Yeah. And not only that, it's really hurting Destiny and Bungie right now. Because once they took a hit on their player base, they were in trouble. It looked like PlayStation really had to like spend some big money just to keep them going. And it sounded like at one point too, they feel like they're not going to see the profit that they were looking to see. And the biggest reason really is because of the Destiny community basically abandoning the game at the last minute. Yeah, so it is what it is. I got one bigger topic here that, well, it's not really a big topic, but it's going to go by real quick. Did you have anything else before we do this topic?
Nope. That was all it.
All right, so this is basically pertaining, it's more of a news kind of thing, but I think it's going to be on its own category because we are 1 to 2 weeks away. More like 1 week away. I'd say 1 to 2 weeks. We're 1 week away from a series of shows, and I have the schedule. Unfortunately, though, they're giving me all the times for it in Los Angeles time, PDT, so I'm just going to give it to you in that time frame.
Just add 3 hours.
That's too much.
If you want it for hours, if you want it
it's too many. All right, but well, maybe my co-host could do that. Word on the street is he's very good at math, so maybe he can do it. All
Just
right.
do it in Pacific Standard Time. It's fine.
So the first one we technically saw today on this list, that was the State of Play. PlayStation came out of nowhere. They shoehorned themselves here. I wonder if they're still gonna have an August show, where it's like more of their stuff. Maybe, maybe not, because
I
that's
think so.
still that's still further out, right?
I'm still waiting for them to show something Insomniac related. Like I feel like one of these over the summer has to be Insomniac focused. So since
Yeah.
it wasn't this one, it'll be the later one.
Okay, I'm gonna need your help a little bit with this. I want you to tell me. I got the dates here, but I don't have what day it is. If you could pull up the calendar, maybe you could tell me this is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the very first one is called OTK Games Expo. This is going to be on June 4th, 2024. What?
Tuesday.
That's on a Tuesday. Okay, so that's going to be at 12 p.m. PDT time. So 3 hours later Eastern Standard Time. We're looking at
3 p.m.
3 p.m. All right. So, um, I do want to say first, our next recording date will be the 6th, right?
Yep.
Most likely, we're only gonna talk about everything before the 7th, because the 7th was crazy. Maybe we can squeeze that Gorilla Collective in there because that's the second one. Okay. That is at 10 a.m. PDT time, so we're looking at 1 p.m. Is that 1 p.m.?
Yep.
So 1 p.m. on June 6th, which I believe is a Thursday, right? That same day. Hopefully this thing ain't like an hour or something long. But, I mean, if you got to skim, we can probably skim. Because I think our format for these shows is going to be a little bit different this time so we can get through them. But, yeah, so that's what's happening on the Thursday. So 2 days later. And then they going to hit you hard on this Friday. So Friday, clear your plans because for some reason we got 4 shows, including the big Jeff Keighley show, which we didn't put no respect on Jeff Keighley's name because I was talking about how Xbox is the big show on Sunday. Xbox's show is like one of the last shows. Jeff Keighley's show is probably one of the biggest ones to start. But first, we're going to get the accessibility showcase at 8 a.m. PDT time. So that's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 7th. Well, not immediately, but later on, we're going to get the Summer Games Fest. Now, this is going to be one of the bigger shows that you're probably not going to want to miss because a lot of world premieres happens on the Jeff Keighley shows. A lot of people rub shoulders with Jeff Keighley, and they show their bigger stuff there, including Kojima, right? So he shows all his stuff there. That is going to be 2 p.m. PDT time, so that's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 7th. Following that is the Day of the Devs show. It didn't give a time. It just says it's immediately after the show. I ain't gonna lie, you probably could skip that, but I think that's all developer interviews. You might see some additional gameplay here and there for some stuff on B-roll, but I really think it's just like all interviews. But that's immediately following the Summer Games Fest show. So that is a package. I would be surprised if that's like 3.5 hours to 4 hours. As crazy as that sounds. Right after that, though, it looks like the way this is set up, the Devolver Direct is going to be 5 p.m. PDT time, which is 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Imagine 8 p.m. on Friday night. Do not have plans. They want you to watch the Devolver Direct. And then we have the No Testosterone Direct, the very next. It's called the Wholesome Direct. On Saturday morning, Wholesome Direct. That's going to be on June 8th at 12 Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. PDT time. And then followed by that will be the Future Game Show That particular one I remember from the past being easily 2 hours. That's going to be at 12 p.m. PDT time, so we're looking at 3 p.m. That what we're saying?
Yep.
Future game show, and then the big one on Sunday, which is going to be the Xbox Game Showcase. That is 9 a.m. PDT time, 12 p.m. noon on Sunday. I do expect that one to be around 2 hours because it's 1 hour of Xbox, if I'm not mistaken, and then 1 hour of like strictly Call of Duty. Um, Plenty of rumors and stuff people was talking about. We don't really got to get into it now. We could just go straight into the facts when it's time. But I think the big news is that people are saying that there might be some more third party announcements, but we'll see when we get there. Following that show will be the PC gaming show. I'm pretty sure this show is going to have a bunch of skits. They always do a bunch of skits and they always be like 2.5 hours long.
Yep.
This one is at 1 p.m. PDT time, so we're looking at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do want to pause real quick and say, for a lot of these shows, I recommend everybody to stay off the internet and just watch the replay, because they always hit you with that like countdown, just like what you just said about the other show where it was like the state of play started with a countdown to 10 and the countdown from 30 or something. A lot of these shows be having like a full 30 minutes of just wait.
Yep.
Where if you just catch the replay, you literally could bypass that. You might want to do what I do, where I have two shows going at the same time, and when something looks good, I pause the other show until the good thing goes away. Then I keep them both running until something look good again. Then I pause one of them. That's how I really get through these. It's almost impossible to. This is a part-time job that week, basically. And we can keep moving. Now, the next couple of things does not have a time, and it might not be announced just yet, but it looks like, well, the first one is the Ubisoft Forward. This has the date of June 10th, which should be a Monday. It does not have a time yet at all. I would imagine it would be before noon. But they might be one of them that might actually X out because of everything that's been said about that samurai game. And I do want to address one thing about that. There is a rumor going around about it that we're not going to address unless it's actually confirmed. Maybe this direct will confirm it, unless they don't want to do it. If they don't want to do it, that might confirm it. But if they do it and then they confirm that it's not that, then we'll probably address it then. But I'd like to hear from them first. I would imagine they have to talk about that game and they have to address their rumor about the black character, I guess, at some point on that show.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think it's just a misunderstanding of what the French guy said, the developer. But we'll talk about it if they address it.
Yeah. The very next thing is probably another big show that does not have a time, and it also doesn't have a date, so we don't know if it's going to happen. But historically, we've seen a show before. This is Nintendo Direct. Nintendo, I don't believe you're going to see anything Switch 2 related here. You might just see some more ports, maybe a couple things that tells you what their holiday lineup will be for this year. If anything, I'm hoping for finally a reveal of Metroid Prime 4. That's the only thing I'm hoping for. I doubt you'll see some Switch 2 stuff. They will shut down this entire week if they go into their Switch 2 stuff, but I don't think they're going to do it. Unconfirmed showcase is showing the black voices in gaming. I guess we don't know if that's going to happen. If so, it's going to be somewhere in the middle of this. There's a couple things here that's missing that I've seen in the past. I think earlier in the show I mentioned we will probably see a Capcom show where they show more Monster Hunter Wilds. I don't see Capcom on here at all, so maybe that might not happen. I think in the past, I was saying we were going to see some official announcements for Resident Evil 9. But if there's no Capcom show, that might not happen, or it might happen at one of these other shows, like maybe the Xbox show. or the PC show. That's where I could see. Or actually, you know what? Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley's right there.
That's what I was thinking.
But I will mention this since we don't have an actual Capcom show. From what I was hearing, the remakes that they're going to be working on is going to be starting with Resident Evil 1. Then I think they're going to go to either Code Veronica after that or Resident Evil 0. It sounds like right now they're avoiding Resident Evil 5. They don't want to go with that controversy. They're going with the other three. So you might not see that for a really long time from what we're hearing. But what we did hear is that the rumor was when it does come out, they're literally going to omit out Shiva and that whole thing in Africa. They're going to like almost redo the whole thing. But they trying to
not Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, that's what the rumors was. But maybe if they don't show anything about Resident Evil, we could talk about it afterwards. But I think we might see some Resident Evil 9 on Jeff Keighley's show. Resident Evil 9 is rumored to include the cast of Resident Evil 2, which was Claire Redfield and Leon Kennedy. So you're going to get them apparently on current time version, right? There's no... You remember they had the show Dames for something? It was just like girl developers. I don't see this at all. That's not here. I don't see... What's the game we playing right now on PS3, PS5? Borderlands. Is that Gorilla?
Uh-huh.
Okay, then they're here.
Is it Gorilla?
I don't know. I think it is. No, it's Gearbox. That's what it was.
Gearbox, yeah.
Gearbox.
Gorilla
I don't see Gearbox. Like yeah, I got that mixed up. Gearbox I don't see here. Typically you see them have a direct or something, because the last time they were just really focusing on Tiny Tina and focusing on the movie. Yeah, the movie. But maybe there's not much else they can say. So they're just not here.
Yeah, they already got the trailers dropping now.
The only other thing I don't see that I wish we would see is just a proper indie show where it's just like, here's the indie show. I forgot what the name of it was. But that's not here. But, I mean, it's funny how I'm saying there's too many shows and then I'm asking where the other shows are. We already got too many of them, especially that Friday. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But, yeah. So, the next week, expect us to only talk about a couple. And then afterwards, it probably is going to be the entire show for the week after that. But we may end up having a third week on this, and then it's going to be like really old news for everybody else. Hopefully, I can have my stuff up and running for some solo content to cover some of this. Is going to be a lot. Our format is probably going to be a little bit different, so we can really flow through these. We're just going to go right into the highlights, or maybe something that was just like extra cringe that we just saw that we might want to just poke fun at. But we definitely ain't gonna be able to get through every game for every show. That's just not gonna happen. But I advise everybody to watch whatever they can, and then come back to us, because we're going to try to dissect as much as we can, but we're going to focus on the highlights as much as we can, because it's just too much. But yeah, man, it looked like we're talking what 10-ish shows here. A lot of shows. Anything here you're looking forward to? Anything you think you're gonna get surprised from?
I'm sure something big will be at the Jeff Keighley show. But
yeah, I think Jeff Keighley's gonna have the biggest surprises, and then I think if Xbox is doing some more third-party stuff, you're gonna get people talking about it there. I'm wondering what Nintendo is going to do if they show up. So PlayStation showed up early. Now we're wondering if Nintendo is going to show up or if they're going to push themselves back. But yeah, that's the schedule. And we're going to try to get to as much of it as we can within the next 2 weeks. And other than that, I think that's it for this episode. Was there anything else you want to get into before we get out of here?
Oh, I'm all good.
All right, great episode. It went a little long, but we managed to get it out of here before it was over. So, yeah. Ooh, it looks like I got 60 seconds. So, yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. We will be back here next week with some of the news and everything, and reporting back on the first couple shows, the OTK Games Expo, which I actually don't know if that's a show. We might actually scurry through on that. We might can only do Gorilla Collective. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next week. Peace.